Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff I Never Told You, production by iHeartRadio.
And I'm back. Anney has done so well. Too well without me. I'm a little sad. But thank you so much for covering, as I have been very sick, which is what I'm going to complain about for this happy hour. But before we start in my wine session, as I want to do, yes, this is a happy hour. If we are talking about any brands or anything, it is not currently a sponsor. Things can change. But just an FYI. Trigger warning, I am talking about sicknesses, and it's probably going to have a little ableism, not because I'm trying to be ableist, but because the reality is we are so inundated and don't realize when some of these things happen that is very ableist ideas or conversations. So I'm going to go ahead and put that out there as well. But if you are partaking in some drinks, be responsible. That's how we like to be. Anney, are you partaking?
I am partaking. Kind of made fun of me because I thought we were doing this first, but I already had. So I went home to visit my mom for her birthday this weekend, and she always gives me wine from the region for my birthday. So she had some for me, and I'm drinking some of that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like Wolf Mountain and stuff?
Yeah, stuff like that. There is a specific grape that is native to North Georgia, but it's also, I think, in Michigan. In Michigan or wherever it is up near there. It is called Cynthiana. In Georgia, it is called Norton. And I love the name difference.
I wonder why. Because has it not been trademarked or anything?
I don't know, but I looked into it once because I just thought, why are they so different? I think they were kind of new, in heavy quotes, newly discovered in terms of other wine grapes. And they were discovered kind of concurrently. But there's sort of a judgment that goes on in Georgia if you call it Cynthiana, because it's like you're trying to get the nicer name recognition. Because it does, Cynthiana versus Norton, one of them is kind of
right.
More.
Yeah. You gotta be so fancy and posh.
Right.
Who you think you are? Get out of here.
You know how it is in those small towns.
Yeah. They get very upset. You trying to be too big for your britches?
Yes.
Huh?
We're not good enough for you. Yeah.
I like that. That's hilarious. Yeah. So I am not drinking. I am sticking with my water because I am still feeling the aftermath. And I don't know what at one point constitutes long COVID. So yes, if you haven't been listening or if you didn't know, I did have COVID because my partner came home from Dragon Con, ended up getting it from there. I took care of him, and it was inevitable that because the first night he got here, maybe even the 2 nights, he had a little cough, but he was fine. I don't know if he had a cough. I think he just kept doing the clearing of the throat. Mm-hmm. But that was we thought that was just the Dragon Con crud, which is, everybody comes out with sniffles, whatever it may be. And he was fine. So he slept in the bed with me, and we were like, oh, I missed you, whatever. And so he got COVID. Exactly a week later, I tested positive for COVID, but I also had the symptoms beforehand to the point that he's like, you have COVID. I hear it. But we were in separate floors because he and I tried to separate after he tested positive, and it was pretty rough. But yeah, so I ended up getting it a week after. Turns out I'm not immune. Very sad about that. Because I don't know, and I'm very there's so much to this illness that is so odd and so different from everything else, in that the flu, you kind of know all the symptoms and everybody has the same symptoms. It is what it is. There's no asymptomatic this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, if you're a doctor, you can tell me you can be asymptomatic flu. Maybe I just don't understand that. But this one, for my partner and I, we were out. And he and I had different symptoms, actually. because he started off with a little bit of a sore throat, then went into coughing, and then had like to the point that he was coughing so hard that there was blood in his phlegm because of his throat, like of his esophagus, not in his lungs. And then I didn't have that bad of a cough until after the fact, but I had awful headaches and a sinus drainage, and then the fever. Like I had pretty bad fever, and then a horrible sore throat. Like, and then I got the mouth rash. It was freaky, to the point that my tongue, I feel like, has scraped off a whole layer from whatever it was. And my taste buds have not completely changed, but it's different. It feels raw. So I'm very baffled by this. But so I've hit my 10-day period of after the initial test. I am now, like, my actual strips shows as clear, and it's fine. My voice is still kind of different. I'm still coughing a little bit. But I now have the heavier chest, and I'm having a hard time with fatigue, like to the point that if I try to do anything for more than 30 minutes, I get very winded. Yesterday, I actually got so dizzy that I almost collapsed. And then I've had some weird chest pain. I'm a little worried that I may have what is now being considered long COVID, even though it's only been a couple of weeks. I'm freaking out, though, because if those are long-term damages, I don't know what I'm going to do.
It is, yeah. It is scary. I had a much less rough time than you when I got COVID. I just sneezed a lot for 2 days. But I thought I still think I might, but for a while I thought I had long COVID because it was mostly concentration and what they call COVID fog. Like you just get like almost confused or something. And then I have lung problems, but I haven't had them noticeably in a long time. Like it's still there, but I just haven't felt it. But after I got COVID, like if I take a deep breath, it tickles. Like I can feel it. And it is scary to think. It's scary to think that like, oh, I guess that's just how it is.
Right. So I have a birthday trip coming up, the first trip in 3 years. And I'm excited, but it's going to be a lot of walking and like activity. And like I said, as I've been doing small things here and there, I have been, when I say fatigued, I'm not just talking about like, oh, I'm tired. I've talked about the fact that I wonder if I have like a light case of narcolepsy, and that when I get stressed or anxious, or when I get into like shopping malls with the bright lights and fluorescent lights, I get zapped very quickly, like in a couple hours, and I feel like all the energy has been drained from me and I need to lay down. And I will stop talking, and I will stop having emotions. Like I'm just like, like everything just feels that. And I'm not a very fast walker anyway, but I'm even slower. So for my partner who goes like, he's Mr. Speedy, then I'm like, oh no, well, you're about to be 2 blocks ahead of me because we're done. But it's gotten that bad, and it still is that bad that I'm like, oh no, what's this going to do for my trip? I wasn't, anticipating this. And then also I get very lightheaded and dizzy. I'm not good at travel. So I get really easy motion sickness, but that also has like nauseousness and like lightheadedness. So I'm like, oh God, how is this going to affect me being in a plane for a couple of hours, which I will be wearing a mask. And I'm kind of anxious about that because I don't want people to yell at me for wearing a mask, which by the way has been a thing too.
Yeah. I thought about that because you asked me like, what should you do and for your birthday, and so many of the things I'm like, well, that involves a lot of walking. That involves some walking. All
of this involves walking because the way I've planned this, it's not by boroughs. I'm just like, like I've only put 3 different reservations. One of them is very like hard to get reservation, so I got it a month ago. So that was pre-COVID for us. And I don't know where the neighborhood is in. But then I have lunch somewhere else, and I'm pretty sure it's a completely different neighborhood, but it's like 7 hours stretch. So it's not like too hard for me to get from one place to the other. But I realized how little that I put in that effort. And then like on one day, I would like to do Chelsea Market and just go and check it all out. I don't have a lot of plans. I don't have anything planned for the actual birthday because I'm like, I don't love planning everything out. I do, obviously, we have to do reservations or you're not going anywhere.
Mhm.
So we did like 3 good reservations, and then everything else is just like, well, let's see what we can find, what we can do. Maybe we can get in because there's only 2 of us. Maybe we can just sit at the bar or whatever. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if I did this correctly. It's been a while. I've been to New York, but every time I've ever been to New York, it's very pointed. Like there's reasons I'm going, whether it's friend planned the whole thing or like I had to do a trip for something, like so, or I was just going through for a day or two. So very like unsure of where I'm going, but like also worried that I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna be so messed up with the fact that he and I are still coughing, and the fact that I get very dizzy to the point that I almost collapse, or the fact that like, yeah, I don't know if my taste buds are gonna be okay because I love extra spicy foods, but as of recent, it actually burns my tongue.
Yeah.
Like hurts. And I've never had that. I was like, what the is it? I'm very upset by that, y'all.
That's fair. That's upsetting.
But yeah, it's so upsetting. I just want good food. So there's a lot of things. And in this like trying to figure out, y'all, again, my partner and I really had all the symptoms. Like it was bad. I had 102 fever. And for me, my regular temperature is like 97.4. So I run cold. That is a high temperature for me, 102, 101. And I had that for 2 days. I couldn't talk for 2 days because my voice was so, my throat, my mouth, it wasn't actually my throat. Like it wasn't in my throat. It was at the top of my throat. The uvula is like, it all got swelled up. Like I had the white specks all over the top of my mouth, and like I thought it was just like when you get tonsillitis, you see like the sores. It wasn't, and it freaked me out. I was like, oh my God, what is this inside my mouth? I had all the things. So like it was really rough, and I wondered if it's because the first time that I've ever actually had COVID, because I've never experienced that whatsoever. But then we had people who were within that group who may have tested for COVID but had no symptoms. None. And I was really freaked out by that.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Because I've seen that too. I have seen this huge range of what people experience when they get COVID, to the point where I'm like, that sounds like the stomach virus. And they're like, no, that was COVID. And I'm like, okay. Or no, like it just like, it doesn't feel very consistent. It feels very specific based on the person who gets it and when they get it, where they get it. But it is widely ranging.
Right. Again, my partner and I had different symptoms even.
Yeah.
It had to be the same strain, right?
I would assume, but we've also talked about that too, because when your partner first got it, I was remembering the times we've talked about instances in our lives where somebody has gotten it in a household, and then somehow, even despite being in contact with that person, maybe even despite of not being vaccinated, they never got it.
Right.
So it's just hard to predict.
Yeah. Yes. So I don't know, I haven't said it, that we did get Paxlovid, which is what is used for the treatment of COVID today. And I think we felt better after like the 4-day period. Like I said, I'm just really fatigued still. But again, if I'm not maybe like predisposed to have like some type of narcoleptic reaction, or just like that type of reaction anyway, the shutdown reaction, maybe that's why I'm more likely to be fatigued still. He seems to be doing a lot better than I am, but his cough is a lot worse than mine. So it's interesting. But with all of that, I also have COVID brain, I think, because I can't think of a thing right now. I just lost my train of thought. Literally just spaced out.
She's got the COVID fog.
Oh my God. So like, I think it really is important. So if you do test positive, I would tell most people, if you can, grab it. And the way we did it, we actually went to, non-sponsor, CVS, like a minute clinic. So if you can find a minute clinic of sorts, and we did telehealth, and the nurse practitioner, they were very kind. Kind of hard to, like, they knew what was going on, and she could tell by my voice. that there was something wrong. But the only problem was like trying to get the medication was kind of a hassle.
Mm-hmm.
But like getting it, I think it is important. But again, I told you and Bridget, Paxlovid mouth is a thing where it tastes like rotten. Like it's just like constant. So have some kind of like hard candy or something on hand because it does affect, and it affects how you taste everything.
Oh,
it was bad. It was bad. It was real bad. So just an FYI, do it, but be prepared because like I just saw a TikTok video. It was funny. After I did all that, it shows it popped up. They're like, no one is talking about this enough. It messes you up.
But worth it.
But you need to do it. I really think, like, again, because our case was pretty severe. I don't know. I can't say for sure that we would have been hospitalized for something. But my partner, at one point, I like slept in the living room because he was upstairs because I wanted to make sure I could hear him just in case something went down.
Yeah. And I saw today that, I mean, I probably everyone who's listening knows, but there has been a huge uptick in cases, and the government is going to start sending, you can get free tests again on September 25th. So sign up for that. But they were saying, yeah, the hospitalizations are up.
Yes. There's a TikTok video with it where there is an actual, I think it's like something about treating. It's like the whole idea is like they will do a questionnaire online and then send you free tests. And if you send tests positive, they'll help you get Paxlovid. Like that's, and it's all free. It's all free service. And because the uptick has gotten so bad. So I know like there's little sites everywhere that if you need free, because actually the Paxlovid I got was free.
And I got the new vaccine. It kicked my ass for like one day, but I feel much better now.
Yeah,
I got that.
You also got the flu shot.
I got the flu shot and that. Yeah. Oof. But I feel much better.
The fact that you're only out for a day, as previously you were like
that first time I got it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I feel great. I actually slept really well last night. Probably because of the vaccine. It was like, go to bed right now.
Now, do it. Yeah. But it's no joke. Like, I know we haven't talked about it enough recently. I've been lax, but like there are things like people living their daily lives, so it's harder to avoid it. This was unavoidable. If we were going to do an event like Dragon Con, I know Comic Con and all these different kinds of cons are happening, is inevitable. People are going to get it, and it's going to be a huge uptick. And this new strain gives no shit. Apparently, the new vaccine is supposed to be specific to this new strain, but it's bad. And I'm glad that we're okay. I'm glad Paxlovid exists, that I could access it. And I know that it can be hard, but you can access it. Just you may need to find, like, Google how to get free treatment. I will say, because of the uptick, several pharmacists have run out. Pharmacies have run out.
Yeah. And I will also say they're working to fix this, but there has been trouble with insurance getting the new vaccine.
Oh, really?
Certain insurances, yes. So, yeah. And there was also a thing I saw when I read the headline, I was like, yep, which is called COVID fatigue, where everyone's like, yeah, I'm going to get it. Which is how I'm feeling because I have this work trip and then I'm going to Orlando. Right. I'm going to see what this vaccine does and I'm going to try to be safe and avoid things, but we're going to see. And you and we're going to check in once you get back from New York, once I get back from Orlando.
We're going to have check in.
We're going to
check in. It might be me for a couple of weeks.
And then I'll get to see what episodes you do without me. Because I was like, oh, Samantha isn't here. I'm going to talk about this.
She went crazy, and I love it.
I was like, let's talk about Twister.
I'm kind of sad I missed that. I love that movie. I don't love that movie. I'm good with that. You do you on that.
There were some that I was like, we'll have to come back when Samantha's better because I know she would like this one.
Well, y'all, please be safe. And yeah, be cautious. As cautious as you can. You can't, unfortunately, there's no stopping life.
Yeah.
And
Unfortunately.
unfortunately, and there's no stopping COVID. It seems to be a thing. To me, this was worse than the flu. So for those who are saying it's like the flu, no. I stopped breathing like for 30 seconds at one point. It hurt. It hurt real bad. And so be cautious as you can. Take care of yourself. And yeah, if you feel like something's wrong, check.
Yes. Yes, it was. I mean, it wasn't funny, but it was kind of humorous how quickly all of the group was like, oh, I tested positive.
Yeah.
Me too. And I was like, oh no.
It flipped real quick.
It did. But I am so glad you're feeling at least a little bit better.
Yes. I'm not lying in bed.
Yes, and your partner is better. I had 2 friends who got it. They're better. They also had pretty severe cases. So, yeah, we want you to be safe. And we're glad you're back, Samantha.
Thank you.
Yes.
I missed y'all.
I missed you too. I was sitting here doing a happy hour by myself, and I was like, what is this? I don't know what this says about me. But before, I am very excited / a little nervous for our check-in. But before we get to those check-ins, if you would like to write to us, you can. Our email is stuffmediamomstuff@iheartmedia.com. You can find us on Twitter at momstuffpodcast or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff One Never Told You. We have a TeePublic store and we have a book. You can buy it and rate it. Ooh. At stuffyoushouldreadbooks.com or wherever you get your books. My mom bought it, Samantha, and it's been a real roller coaster ride for me. And thanks as always to our super producer Christina, our executive producer Maya, and our contributor Joey.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff I Never Told You is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your favorite shows.